Welcome back to the Steam Pilgrimage, where we were self-isolating before it was cool. In this YouTube series, one man defies all odds to finish every game on his Steam list and finally accomplish literally any long-term goal. So I sat down, on multiple occasions I might add, to play through the two Aquanox games. The first few sessions mainly comprised of fiddling with graphic settings, looking up compatibility issues, and trying to get the damn thing to recognize my goddamn keyboard and mouse. After finally getting through these things, I was met with a painfully aged game that got me thinking, wow, all games suck. But this isn't totally true, otherwise there wouldn't be such a massive push in the industry to release games with retro art styles and mechanics. And let's not forget the endless slog of reboots and spiritual successors being churned out year after year. We've all had cases where we've bought a remaster of a PS1 game or trawled through GOG to prove that Morrowind really is the greatest Elder Scrolls game, only to find that the rose-tinted glasses are replaced with the red mist of frustration, as everything you thought you knew about life falls apart. I mean, if we're only products of our faulty memories, then do we even exist at all? Well, I don't know about all that shit, but I do know that the Aquanox games don't hold up very well, if they were ever considered good at all. So I'm gonna put them on the back burner for now to stop myself from smashing my head against a wall. But thinking about old gaming mechanics and exposed brain matter got me thinking of the Doom 2016 reboot. Oh god, the premise for this video is being held together more precariously than my master's thesis. The Doom 2016 reboot prided itself on being a game for only the most hardcore of gamer. Gone were the usual mod cons we came to expect, like regenerating health and adaptive difficulty. And what we were left with was a truly hardcore gaming experience that only a true man's man, lady killer savant could overcome. Except for that directional compass at the top. Okay, this is getting a little bit more complicated than I thought. Let's dig a little deeper and explore the ways that the Doom 2016 reboot blends the old with the new and creates something that feels fresh. And metal as fuck! But before we start, I want to give a shout out to Alex over at SDtoons, whose work you can see on the screen right now. Alex is an old friend, and out of the blue offered to do some new art for the channel to allow me to express myself better. I really can't thank him enough, and I know he's open for working on projects right now. If you like what you see, you can find a link to his channel in the description. And if you're watching this in the future, well, you missed your chance, didn't you? Ah, the original Doom. A simpler time. When the original Doom came out, the enemies fired projectiles at you. So the AI locks on, chooses to fire, and then a new object is spawned into the world and travels based on how it's coded, usually in a straight line from the tip of the demon's gun to where the player was standing when the command was issued. If the projectile hits you, you lose life. Not only simple, but fair. The enemies could fire 1,000 shots at you in the space of a minute, but with the right reaction time and ample space to maneuver, you can get out of that mess. Then hit scan weapons were introduced, essentially meaning if the crosshair is on you and the fire command is pressed, you lose X amount of life depending on how long it takes you to
die. Bitch, get out the way! Get out the way, bitch, get out the way!
But this led to some problems. You see, now you're relying on RNG to decide when an enemy soldier will take life from you. The devs could program the AI to snap to you the second you pop your head out and kill you immediately if they wanted, which is what Modern Warfare 1 felt like sometimes. So now you're far more dependent on game devs balancing the AI than you are on your own skills to succeed. When you play through it for the first time, it seems like a grueling challenge, but when you learn how it works under the hood, it can make the experience seem a little fixed, like you're hoping for the numbers to fall in your favour in order to succeed. And then this snowballed down into further problems. With hit scan weapons now a thing, developers had to make a choice. They could have the enemies shoot like stormtroopers, have health packs every 5 feet, or have a way for the players to recover on the fly. And thus the regenerating health system was born, meaning the death of medpacks. Which presumably ended up in hell because now they explore the demons' faces! And since then, every goddamn game has had a regenerating health system. Even non-FPS games like Ninja Gaiden 2. Still doesn't make this any less bullshit, Team Ninja. I'm not saying this is wholly a bad thing, as games like Gears of War and Rainbow Six really couldn't exist without this mechanic. But it seemed like for a long time this was the only way to play a shooter, like devs collectively backed themselves into a corner that they just couldn't find a way out of. It's actually strange to think, in hindsight, that no one wanted to make something like Doom with all the advancements in tech. But thankfully in 2016, Doom guys said, fuck that and decided to find the creator of Hitscan and pull out his entrails. Doom relies on retro gaming mechanics like insanely colourful health and ammo drops, and a difficulty that doesn't waver. Every attack in the game can be dodged, and you move faster than a Catholic priest who is just diagnosed with a venereal disease. This isn't just not a tactical shooter, it goes out of its way to disincentivize that type of gameplay and encourage you to go balls to the wall. There's no weapon limitations, and Hell and Mars alike are filled with glowing combustible red barrels. Mix this in with the chainsaw and the glory kills and you have a game that does not want you to stop moving. Just like back in the good old Quake and Unreal Tournament days. Yes, hello? I see. Dear, the 90s called, they want their fucking awesome back. Cool, let's slap a bow on this, video over. The game is a classic shooter with graphics that we couldn't even imagine back in the day. Right? No? It's not just that? Okay, let's talk about what Doom takes away from current gaming conventions. I'm very sorry, but I'm going to have to say something controversial here. Whatever your favorite game from the 90s was, it's not as good as a great modern day game. Okay, I'm not saying you didn't have a better time playing the games back then. I'm talking from a purely objective standpoint. Unless you're talking about Grandia, the general advancements in gaming have improved modern games dramatically. There are some annoying new elements in modern gaming, mainly in how streamlined things have become, but for general gameplay feel, games are just nicer to play now. And boy does Doom feel nice to play. The animations are smooth and the transition between run and gun and glory kill is seamless. On PC they've even managed to utilise the most out of your system, as Vulkan mode optimises the hell out of this game, allowing even my aging rig to get a consistent 60 frames per second at high settings. But it isn't just old Doom with better controls and better graphics. There are some new age mechanics thrown in to smooth out the experience. As I mentioned earlier, the game has a compass and waypoint marker. This is a point of contention for a lot of people. Many people see these as a hindrance, especially in large open world games. Many people see it as a form of hand-holding, but it serves a purpose in Doom. See, I don't know if I've spent enough time talking about this, but Doom is about one thing. So it's in the game's best interest to keep you on track to the next fight, the next set piece, keep moving, never stop. Which is why the choice to include hidden items and sometimes tie these into secondary quest objectives is such a strange idea. Hidden collectibles aren't really a new idea, the original games had plenty to find. But games are becoming more and more bloated with hard to find / easy to miss collectibles. Here though, they slow down the action quite a bit, but are thankfully mostly optional. The challenges serve a much better purpose and fit better into the game's feel. Another trend that Doom takes from modern games is a tacked-on multiplayer mode. Although the multiplayer in this game is actually really fun, I was quite disappointed that the multiplayer never really took off, but it doesn't detract from the game in any big way. Finally, Doom's approach to storytelling has a modern, almost Half-Life 2 feel to it. And yes, I know Half-Life 2 came out in 2004, but it was like 10 years ahead of its time, so I count it. Don't like it? Leave a comment. I thrive on your sweet, sweet engagement. The Doom guy in Doom 2016 is very similar to Gordon Freeman in that although there's tons of prophecy surrounding you and you are the one driving the plot forward, you're still a blank slate protagonist. You experience the story mostly in-game with very few cutscenes and rely on environmental storytelling. And my fucking favourite, audio logs. I'm very sorry Doom, but I just gave Amnesia a pass on this, so I can't go easy on you. So, Doom is a modern game then, with all of the conventions that we know and love and all the hand-holding and everything that... No? It's not that either? Okay, well, let's hope I can wrap this up in the conclusion. Okay, Doom isn't a retro game for the sake of it, and it isn't a stock paint-by-numbers shooter. So what is it? Well, simply put, Doom is a great Doom game. It's well thought out, it takes elements that it needs and that serve its gameplay loop, from both the past and the present. I talk about this a lot, but having a strong creative lead with a defined vision for your game makes a world of difference. You can tell when a gameplay feature doesn't belong in a game, whether it was tacked on late at the advice of an executive, or was something the devs made early on and were too proud to let go of, even though it no longer fits the final product. Doom is a game with very little fat. It's about ripping and tearing through enemies and occasionally getting a new toy to do so with. The only filler in the game are the hidden collectibles, but they're only really there for the most hardcore players. But I do think it's an element of the old games that could have been left out. To say that Doom is a true return to a simpler time of gaming is a bit of a stretch. It is, however, a return to games being awesome. It doesn't worry about pleasing all fans, and it doesn't try to copy what's popular. Doom is a solid singular vision that is unapologetically itself, and it's the better for it. Doom is a great example of what happens when talented people set out to simply make a good game. Too bad people like that are in short supply these days. Thank you once again for making it to the end of these rant fests. I hope you've enjoyed my take on the Doom 2016 reboot. I'm planning to buy the new Doom Eternal this Friday with the hopes to have a review for it out by Monday. This will be alongside the Steam pilgrimage, and I'm really trying not to buy games and add to my backlog, but occasionally a sequel to one of my favourite series or a game I can play with my girlfriend comes along, and I have to make the tough choice to indulge my materialistic tendencies. So if for some strange reason you find my opinions insightful, or even if the sound of my voice doesn't make you want to punch me in the face, then check back in a week. And remember to keep hacking away at that backlog.